is the September 9th, 2021 meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission. I'll read the following notice. Pursuant to Governor Baker's June 15th, 2021 lifting of the state of emergency and following the passing of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, which allows remote meetings of public bodies until April 1st, 2022, this meeting of the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission is being conducted through remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in this order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to or view this meeting while in progress may do so by tuning in to the BCAT Government Cable Access Channel or the BCAT Government Meetings Facebook Live feed, or you can join the meeting by telephone. And the information is on the screen now, 408-418-9388. It's meeting number 179-747-7321. To join the WebEx Live video conference, which is what we're on, click on the link on the Conservation Commission's meeting page or on the Town of Burlington calendar. Or go to webex.com and press join a meeting. The meeting number is the same one I just mentioned, and if you need a password, it's listed on the information both on the screen as well as on the agenda as well. New public hearings open tonight will not be closed, so to allow for comments from those who are unable to access or are uncomfortable with this technology. Comments and concerns regarding public hearings should be emailed to conservation@burlington.org before our next meeting, which is September 23rd, 2021. The first item is to call the roll call, which I will call each Conservation Commissioner member by name, and please signify by saying present or here. Don Bernstein.
Here.
Gil Lima.
Here.
Indra Deb.
Here.
Bill Boyven. He is not here. Jennifer O'Riordan. She is not here today. Ed Laturco.
Here, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We're not seeing you too well.
Okay, a video problem.
All right, but we can hear you. That's most important.
All right, I'll keep working on this.
Associate Commissioner Kent Moff. He is absent tonight. Administrator John Keeley.
Here.
Assistant Administrator Eileen Coleman.
Here.
Okay, thank you for that. We have 5 members present. The first thing to note about the agenda is we have some continuances. Items 9, 10, and 11. The continued public hearing for the Redmond Street roadway has been continued until September 23rd. The continued public hearing of number 4 Redmond Street has been continued until September 23rd. Continued public hearing of number 5 Redmond Street has been continued to September 23rd, 2021. All the applicant being Somerset Realty Trust. Can I have a motion to continue all 3 of those hearings until September 23rd, 2021?
So moved. Indra Deb.
Indra, okay. Second?
Don, second.
Thank you, Don. All right, so let's see how you vote on the continuance. Don?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Ed? And the chair votes yes, so by a vote of 5-0-0, number 4 Redmond Street, number 5 Redmond Street, and the Redmond Street roadway is continued until September 23rd meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission. So as usual, after calling the roll, our first item of business is citizens' time. Is there anyone on the phone or in this video conference who has an item on the agenda, not on the agenda, something that we're not taking up, a subject they would like to bring up? Okay, the record should show that no one contributed to citizens' time. Approval of minutes, August 12th, 2021. Okay, are there any objection to approving those minutes? Are we in a position to approve?
Yes.
All right. Could I have
Motion
a
to, approve.
Go ahead, please.
Good, Larry.
I'd like a motion to approve.
So moved, Gail.
All right. Thank you, Gail. You're on
Second,
your
Ed.
top of your game today, Gail. Okay. All right. Dawn, how do you vote on approval of minutes?
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Indra,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So the minutes of April 12th, 2021 are approved by a vote of 5-0-0. All right. So next on the agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance. This was postponed and is brought up today. It's the 10 Great Meadow Road, Town of Burlington, DEP number 122-630. All right, is there someone here from DPW who wants to talk to that?
This is continued again, Larry, to the next meeting.
Okay. All right, so is there any reason to need a vote for that one?
No, it's not a public hearing. No.
Okay. All right, so that one will be postponed, 10 Great Meadow Road, Town of Burlington. Okay, so we're on item 5A, notice is given, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a WebEx virtual public meeting, during which time we have a request for determination of applicability filed by Jared Callen. The commission will be taking information related to a proposed shed installation within locally regulated riverfront area and the 1,000-foot buffer zone to stream bank and bordering vegetative wetlands. The property is located at 15 Jackson Road in Burlington. After we hear the information, we'll therefore issue a determination of applicability. The application is being heard pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, which is the Wetlands Protection Act, and Burlington's bylaw, Article 14. A copy of the application is available by emailing conservation@burlington.org. Okay, is there someone here for 15 Jackson online?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Jared Callen, I gather, right?
Correct.
Right, and I assume you live at 15 Jackson.
I do.
All right, so we got the preliminaries out of the way. All right, so do you, you're welcome to say anything you would like. You're sort of our guest tonight, so if you want to say anything, what you're trying to do or anything, it's not necessary, but you're welcome to.
So basically, I'm just building a shed just for storage, patio furniture, toys, things like that. I was unaware that I needed a permit, but when I was stopped, I stopped all the work, made sure I went through the right process, and pretty much I'm here now. So whatever you guys need me to do or whatever should have been done, I'm willing to work with to get it
All
done.
right, that was brief and to the point. I appreciate that. Okay, John or Eileen, do you have some comments for the commission?
Yep, I do. So I think I may have been alerted to this one by one of the building inspectors. I'm trying to just share Jared's plans with you. So his proposal was to put a shed on his property. As you can see, there's a drainage easement. When he was looking at the wetland maps, he could see there was drainage easement, which he thought was on the next door property. However, there is actually a stream there. I'm just going to share just a photograph of what it looks like. So what he actually did was he built the shed almost maybe 5 or 6 feet from the stream bank. he said it was just really grass and, you know, maybe weeds, I suppose, underneath the stream bank. So I don't think he took down any trees in order to do so. It looks like there's very little wetland associated with it. It's just a stream that is not on the regulatory streams map, as it's not a tributary of a named river. So I'm not, there are 15 footings. It's on 15 footings. That's all I have to say at the moment.
All right, and when I was out there, I could see it was 15 very substantial footings. We're ready for the next hurricane on that. Okay, let's see what the commissioners think and if they have questions. Dawn, do you have any questions or comments?
Nothing at this time.
All right, Gail.
Hi, so I know that you you didn't realize you needed a building permit, but do you understand why you're in front of us for this? Why this is kind of a problem for the Conservation Commission?
Oh, after looking into it, I fully understand why. I just wish I was aware of it before.
Sure, no, I get it. So the riverfront is a really important habitat because vegetation that grows along a riverfront is really important to filtering water that ends up in the river, controlling stormwater to help slow water and to decrease flooding and so forth. So it's kind of not just important to your home site, but to other people that are downstream from you as well. That's why you've come to us. And honestly, if you had come to us before you started building it, I think we would have asked you to not put the shed there because the kind of our guidelines are pretty strict about kind of placement of things that close on a bank of a riverfront. But with that said, you've got these footings in there, and tearing up the footings would cause a lot more damage, I think, than dealing with what we have. So I think there are a couple of things that I noticed when we were there, and I think Eileen might have said something to you that behind the shed you had some storage of some power equipment. I think it was a snow blower. I don't know if there was something else, but there was also a fuel tank. So that kind of stuff cannot be stored that close to the river. If any of those should leak or got blown over by wind, like the fuel tank, or if you had a leak in the shed, that would leak into the water and potentially foul, that water supply. So no fuel or chemicals or things like that can be stored, be around the shed, in the shed. I think because whatever vegetation was there that's disturbed, I believe there's going to be an expectation of doing some type of plantings to kind of try to mitigate any kind of damage that was done by the construction right on the bank. But that's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you, Gail. Indra.
Yes, the same thing. I just wanted to say that since it is done, he has already done the foundation. So right now we have to, or he has to mitigate whatever he has done, the problem, So now question is what can be done there to mitigate the problem?
Okay. I think we're going to get to that.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Ed, any comments or questions?
I think you've covered what I was going to say too. Pretty much what you put in the shed.
Yeah, I think in this situation, I think Gail is right that seeking the removal of the shed with the footings would cause you'd have to bring in some heavy equipment and it would cause a lot more disturbance to the bank. It appears that the existing cover, which might have been some small grass and stuff like that was there, is not optimum for a riverfront habitat. So the regulations require that when we have something with riverfront, that if in this situation we try to seek some kind of improvement. And so perhaps Eileen or John Normally it's some, native plantings and native shrubs that help restore what a naturalized riverfront would look like. There's not a lot of room, so there's only so much that can be done, but along the bank certainly, and perhaps in back of the shed, sir, I think we would like to ask for your consideration in just restoring some area that would leave that much area at least, which is not much, that much better than before the building of the shed. John or Eileen, do you have any comments regarding what you would recommend? We can always work out the details offline, but do you have any comments to offer him?
So Eileen's going to talk about the mitigation. I'd just like to address what Gail said. I mean, I think there's two problems with what Gail's proposing. One is it's impossible to enforce. And number two, you build a shed like that to put your snow blower and your lawnmower in, and you can't keep your gas can for your lawnmower in the house or in your cellar. So unfortunately, the shed is close to the stream, but there's no place else realistically where he can keep that kind of material. So
There's 2 sheds on the property, one's further from the other. Is he planning on keeping both sheds?
I mean, the other one didn't even seem to have a door on it, so
The door.
it was pretty old, but I don't know. That's my perspective. It would be difficult to enforce if you put a condition in there like that. And I'm not really sure it's justified.
Well, it shouldn't at least be left outside where it could just blow into the stream.
Oh, totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, I would say that certainly there is something to not asking for motorized vehicles to be parked at the edge of the brook there and back. Because in case they did leak, it would be useful to have them parked somewhere else. Okay, so Eileen, do you want to give us some comments on what you're thinking regarding some restoration of stuff in this particular case?
I did draft a decision. Do you want me to share that now?
All right, that's one way of handling it. Sure.
Okay. Well, because it kind of addresses what you all were saying. I'm proposing that he does add some shrubs, and also that I did also, I think I addressed Gail's concern about not the equipment not being left out. So the applicant retroactively proposed to install a 12 by 20-foot shed within a 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland and bank of an intermittent stream. Work was within 100-foot buffer, bank and BVW, and the closest work was about 6 feet from the stream. This is to suggest that the commission votes to issue a negative determination of applicability for only the work as has been described during these proceedings, with the following conditions. As I said, this decision is only for installation of a shed. No removal of trees, shrubs, or alteration of naturally vegetated areas is permitted by this decision. All construction, demolition materials, and excavated soils shall be disposed of offsite in a legal manner. We are suggesting that the applicant shall plant 5 native shrubs within 20 feet of the stream as mitigation for the shed installation. The specific species of the native trees to be planted shall be approved by the conservation administrator. Jared, this could be something like blueberries. Fuel and gasoline powered machinery shall not be stored without secondary containment, that is, inside a shed or other container within 50 feet of the stream. There shall be no filling or grading of the property beyond what is required for the approved work, and no alteration of the grade of the yard is approved. Pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides should not be used within 100 feet of the BVW and stream, unless otherwise approved by the commission. And the last 2 are just standard conditions about members of the commission shall have the right to inspect the premises to evaluate compliance, and non-compliance shall be deemed a violation of the Wetlands Protection Act.
All right, is there any, sir, do you have any comments on what you've just heard at all, or any questions?
No objections to any of this, and whatever I need to plant or at all, I'm happy to do so.
Yeah, I think this is a reasonable solution for what has happened here. So, any comments from the commission? Anyone have a comment on the conditions, which obviously are pretty minimal given the circumstance?
Mr. Chairman, this is Indra. I have one comment to make here. Since I just heard that Gail said that if you would have come to our commission before, we would have said no, because it is so close to the riverfront.
Yes.
Now, aren't we setting up something here, precedents, like other people in the sensitive area, they do something because they know that, once we do it, that's it. Yeah, I have to improve something, we'll do. Plant the plants and this and that. So how can we stop it?
If I could comment on that, Indra.
Yeah.
I'm a new homeowner. I'm a young couple, and this wasn't giving me a guideline when I bought the house. It says you can't build this, that. I just didn't know. And if I had known beforehand, I would have happily went through this commission first.
Oh, what I'm saying, like if somebody comes like you in the commission, most probably our decision would have been said no, because it is so close to the wetland.
I think it's just lack of knowledge that's getting out there that people just don't know that it's necessary. And I wish I had known before.
Yeah, I think Indra, to a certain extent, your comment would be true if we had to assume that most homeowners had bad intent, that they were trying to get away with something.
I see.
And I certainly, from Mr. Callen, I don't sense that at all. I mean, this type of thing does happen.
No, I don't. I don't sense that from.
Yeah, and
Mr. Callen.
I also think the opportunity to plant some native shrubs and things like that to actually improve the area probably gives it some net benefit over what was there to begin with, which we may not have been asking for that at the time. If he was putting the shed on the other side of the property, I don't think we would have probably addressed anything there with no proposed changes nearby.
True.
So I hear what you're saying, and it should be stated that I don't think we're setting up a precedent. I think this is a unique set of circumstances where a mistake was made and sort of the installation that's there would just require too much disturbance to say have it removed. And it's obviously that's not practical in this circumstance.
No, that's true.
Yeah. So I appreciate what you're saying.
Can I just interject just to say if it, Indra, that we've actually, with the online permitting system that the building department now uses, we have a pretty, much closer relationship these days with the building department and with every single application that goes through. And I'm included on a lot more applications now. So we're really catching a lot. It's just a few things that are either slipping through or, they're grading or something that doesn't even generally require a permit. And
Okay, no, thank you.
Smaller sheds don't need permits. So sometimes these do happen.
Right.
Okay.
No, thanks, Annie.
On your conditions, Eileen, that you proposed, I thought it might be useful to have you go out and ask to be called for an on-site inspection when after the shrubs have been planted, just as a final closure to this. So asking this applicant to just call the office, you come out and he tells you it's done and it's done.
I'm happy to do that. I just don't know what a native shrub is that I should be using. Is there a list I can find?
Yes, you can contact, sorry, can anybody hear me? Oh, you can, I'm not muted. As it says here, specific species shall be approved by the conservation administrator. You can give us a call to see what we would suggest. And I've just added in here, and staff shall inspect shrubs after planting. Is that okay? Something like that. I'll just word it like that, okay?
That's fine. That was what I had in mind.
Okay.
All right, so is there anything more from anyone? Is there anyone in the audience for this at all? Or online? I didn't ask that earlier. I want to make sure that in case there is, they have an opportunity. All right, then, given everything that's said, could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination as discussed for the property at 15 Jackson Road in Burlington under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved, Don.
Second?
Gail,
I gather that was a second, Gail. Okay. So Don, how do you vote?
Yes,
Gail,
Yes,
Indra,
Yes,
Ed,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So by a vote of 5-0-0, the project has been approved. All right, Mr. Callan, good luck. And thank you for cooperating with us.
I appreciate the time, and I will definitely do my best to check with you guys first. Any builds?
Okay, all right, sounds great. Have a good evening, sir.
Do.
Yeah. Okay, so. Get that. Okay, next on the agenda is item 5B. Note, okay, this is, see, this is, yes. Notice is hereby given, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a WebEx virtual public meeting and will act upon a request for determination of applicability filed by Enstar Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy. The commission will take all information related to proposed replacement of switch structures with steel structures and fence installation within locally regulated riverfront area and the 100-foot buffer zone to stream back and bordering vegetative wetlands at the utility right-of-way near Wynn Street in Burlington. Well, thereafter, we will issue a determination. This application is being heard under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, which is the State's Wetlands Protection Act, in Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. And like the last one, this application is available for public review by emailing conservation@burlington.org. All right, so is there somebody here for this Instar application?
Yes, I am Vivian Kimball. I work with VHB and I'm here on behalf of NSTAR to discuss this project. And if I could share my screen, I can give a brief overview of what's being proposed. Is everyone able to see that?
Came up on mine.
Yes.
Okay, so as you
Yes.
mentioned in the notice, this is within an existing utility right-of-way off of Wynn Street. Wynn Street is down here on the lower left. And they do have Eversource has an existing access road that comes in off of Wynn Street and connects to these existing switch structures, which are the two that are outlined in gray here. And I'll do more so that's a little easier to see. So what's being proposed is that they need to replace these two switch structures with two new ones that are going to be located right next to the existing locations. And the existing structures, you can see here, each of them has 4 wood poles on a concrete foundation. The new structures are actually going to be, actually, I believe this is shown incorrectly. Each of them will be a single steel pole that's going to be about 3 to 4 feet in diameter. So that's going to result in about 12 square feet of disturbance, and we're within the buffer zone here, as well as a riverfront area for a stream that's mapped by the town GIS system off to the north. The other thing that came up actually just today, which I will switch to another page for. There we go. Can you see the different plan sheet now?
Yes.
Okay, so it came to our attention today from the engineers that they also need to install some fiber conduit from these switch structures to an existing pole on the 211504 line. So these are going to be 4-inch conduits, so pretty small. They'll be underground. There's a handhole here, and those are typically, trying to recall, I think they're about 6 inches in diameter, so they're also fairly small, not full-size manholes where a whole person can go down, but a handhole literally, so that a hand can reach in. And they'll be about 3 to 4 feet below grade and encased in concrete. And so to go back to this figure, that conduit will be installed running from these proposed structures, switch structures, up sort of down to the handhole and then over to this existing transmission structure here. So again, that work is falling within the buffer zone and riverfront. Actually, I'm sorry, this riverfront is off of this stream. And we would obviously adjust this is our proposed erosion control line. Previously, we would adjust that to wrap around this way to account for the conduit coming south west to the transmission structure. As far as sort of the general sequence of work, the current right-of-way is maintained, so there are no mature trees within the right-of-way since they would interfere with operation of the lines. There may be there are some low-growing shrubs and herbaceous vegetation, and so there may be some mowing just to make sure they can get to this location and have a flat work area, which is outlined in the black. But there wouldn't be any major changes in site elevations for that. So they would excavate the foundations for the new poles, install the rebar forms, anchor bolts, and get they would pour the cement, and then there's a 14-day cure period for the cement. And then they would come back and install the actual switch structures once the concrete is cured. Once the new structures are in place, they will transfer the existing transmission lines that are on the old structures over to the new ones, at which point they can then remove the old structures. There's also a fence currently around these old structures, which is this sort of X line. Those will be removed and new ones will be installed around the new structure locations. The existing poles will be cut flush to the ground. And then once all the fence and there's any gravel that's in the area is removed, the area will be restored with loam and a native seed mix and allowed to, anything that's in the existing seed bed would also be allowed to come back in. And that I will turn it over for questions.
All right, thank you for that summary. John or Eileen, do you have comments on this one, please?
So the only comment would be, we'd be concerned about dewatering here for the excavation, because obviously there's very high water table.
Yep. So we do have provisions for dewatering. Typically, if there's enough space in an upland area and enough vegetation that the vegetation would filter it properly, they may dewater to an upland area. If that's not going to be possible, they would dewater into a filter bag or a straw bale and filter corral.
Okay. Any other questions, John or Eileen, first?
No.
Okay. All right, so let's go through what the commission was done. Any further comments or a question?
No, nothing further.
Gail? Gail, are you muted by any chance?
Yep, that endangered plant habitat, is that anywhere near this?
So this polygon, thank you I skipped over that. This polygon is priority habitat. I don't recall which species are specifically located in this corner of the polygon, but Eversource does have an operation and maintenance plan that's approved by Natural Heritage, under which they would perform this work. So for plants, the typical guideline with Natural Heritage is to delineate the plant populations, identify them, delineate them, and generally fence them off so that the contractor avoids those areas. The other things that are mapped in this polygon are invertebrate species, and so the guidelines for those are typically regarding avoiding host plants.
Yeah, thank you. I was just asking specifically because there was a number of years ago a plant species that was identified as an endangered species, and I just didn't know if I assume that it's in this area here that you were talking about.
It may be. If it is there, we'll get it delineated. We have Natural Heritage has provided Eversource with the information of which species are located there. So
okay, thank you.
Follow those guidelines.
All righty, Indra, anything further?
Yes, just one question. The new construction, will it be, the thing would be dug by hand, or you're going to use any machinery or anything?
It probably would be done by machinery, but it's pretty small. As I said, it's a 4-inch conduit, so it would be a fairly narrow trench that would be, at most, it would be a foot wide that they would be digging to get the conduit in, and as well as the concrete encasement.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Ed, anything further?
Nothing to add.
Any question I have is the pink line on the drawing, the conduit that you're putting in?
Oh, sorry. So the conduit is not shown on this figure. This was the figure that was submitted with the RDA. The pink line here was the original proposed erosion control line.
I see. I
So
see.
the conduit
And
would actually come south here and over to there.
so how close is the conduit being installed to the, I guess it's a wetland, bordering vegetative wetland there?
Yeah, so I don't have the exact dimensions. I can try to get that for you. All I got was that plan today that doesn't map to anything. But from judging from the way things kind of look, it looks like it comes south to about here and then over.
So, in other words, I was just trying to figure out how close you are trenching to the bordering vegetative wetland. So,
Yeah, so I believe the location would actually be outside of where we're proposing the erosion controls now, and we would obviously adjust the erosion control to include to account for the trenching.
and is all the burden from the trenching put back into the ditch that you're digging, essentially?
Yep, yep. So anything that will fit that will be backfilled into the trench. Since the trench will be taking up space in the ground, there may be excess soil, and so that would be taken off site.
So,
And then,
well, I guess, sorry to interrupt, but
sorry,
what I'm trying to ascertain, is the trenching inside the erosion control or outside the erosion
it will
control?
be on the non-wetland side of the erosion control.
Okay, all right, so it's inside, it's within the erosion control boundary.
Yeah, I wasn't sure when you said inside which side of that you
That was
meant.
But it's beyond the erosion control boundary shown on this plan. She's saying she has to relocate the erosion control.
I actually think it's within, but we would feel more comfortable having this wrap around a little more just to be
Okay.
safe.
Got
Okay.
it. Got it. All right. So that's what I was trying. I was trying to ask a simple
Gotcha.
question by asking 5 questions, of course.
No worries.
All right. All right. Okay. So if there's nothing else, is there anyone in the audience for this? Okay. In that case, Eileen or John, do you have a draft decision, negative conditional determination?
Yes. Can you share, Eileen? There we go. Okay, so the findings of project, the applicant proposed to replace two four-pole wood structures with two-pole steel structures on concrete foundations in the existing right-of-way. Resource areas are bordering vegetated wetlands and a locally regulated tributary to Maple Meadow Brook. The work would be approximately 30 feet from the wetlands. The decision is for a negative determination. Condition 1 is the condition that no other additional work is allowed beyond what's been described in the application and permitted in this permit. Number 2 is requiring erosion controls to be installed and inspected. We then mentioned what type of erosion controls, and they need to stay in place until the project is completed. Condition 3 is about removal of excavated materials. Condition 4 is regarding tracking of materials. 5 prohibits any additional filling or grading. Condition 6, no dewatering on the site until the Conservation Commission has reviewed and approved a dewatering plan submitted by the applicant and inspected the dewatering discharge setup. 7, no cutting of trees without prior notification. 8 is a requirement for the inspection reports to be submitted to us. Then 9 is and 9 and 10 are standard conditions about the commission's right to enter the site to do inspections, and 10 is for non-compliance.
Okay, any comments from the commission? All right, could I have a motion to approve a negative conditional determination?
I'm sorry, if I could actually, for a moment, the current work description doesn't include the conduits. Could I ask that that be added just to make sure we're covering
Sure.
everything that's
Yeah.
proposed? Thank you.
Okay, if we're all set, I'll ask for the motion. Could I have a motion to approve a negative conditional determination for the Eversource project off of Wind Street?
So moved, Indra.
Second,
Checking it.
all right, Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes,
Gail,
Yes,
Indra,
Yes,
Ed,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes, so by a vote of 5-0-0, the project is approved.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
The record should show, Kent, I see that you have, I just noticed that I see you in a little tiny box on my computer. You have showed up. Good evening.
Evening. Sorry
All
about
right,
the technical difficulties.
okay, so that's all right, no problem. So the record, the minutes should show that Associate Commissioner Kent Moffett has joined us. And I will make sure I ask for comments or questions from you as well, Ken. Thank you. Okay, all right, so next on the agenda is we have a public hearing. We're on item number 6. Notice is hereby given that the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public hearing. We will take information related to a notice of intent filed by the Town of Burlington DPW. This is for improvements to the Francis Wyman Pump Station and replacement of a sewer force main located at 26A Francis Wyman Road and in the roadway of Francis Wyman Roadway in Burlington. The proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, which is the Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. The commission will be reviewing all information relative to the application and may issue an order of conditions and Burlington Wetlands permit for this project. The application is available and is online by going to the Conservation Commission website. And you can call up the information there if you're interested. All right, so I see we have someone from DPW here.
Yes, my name is Brian White, Assistant Town Engineer, the Engineering Division. Here as well with our engineering consultant, Weston and Sampson, who will let themselves introduce.
Hi, I'm Patrick Terrian with Weston and Sampson.
All right,
And
And
Alex,
I'm Alex Gaspar, from Weston and Sampson as well.
all right, good to see all three of you. Excellent. All right, so you're our guest. So would one or more of you like to go first and give us a summary of what's going on?
Sure, I can give a brief history of the overview of the project, and then I can pass it off to Weston and Sampson to explain the design in further detail.
Sure.
Essentially, the majority of the town's sewer infrastructure is 50+ years old. That's roughly the lifespan that we give for infrastructure. We've been doing a lot of rehab trenchlessly, of which works well with the gravity sewer mains in town. Not so much with the force mains, and obviously the pump stations are a different animal. If some of you may recall, back in, I believe, 2016, we had some emergency work that happened and took place at Lucaya Circle sewer pump station. It was certainly not desirable for the residents nearby with a temporary generator running for months at a time. So as a result of that, there was that force main. We had several breaks on the force main pipe itself, along with the last failure was a major failure with inside the drywall of the pump station. We tried to determine what the cause was of the failures of the force main there, and Weston and Sampson came up with, after analyzing it, that they thought it was a corrosion from within the inside of the pipe due to microbial corrosion as a result of the force main size being a little oversized, low velocities, and possibly sediment solids accumulating in flat surfaces. As a result of that, we then tried to determine other pump stations in town that may have similar conditions that may be prone to failure. This force main, we've already had, I believe, 2 breaks, none too recently, maybe 2 within the last 10 years or so. Fortunately, we're within Francis Wyman and we're easily accessible. However, a good portion of this force main, which I can show you an over. So the pink line is where the current force main is. So a good portion of it does run cross country, much of it through wetlands, and I believe a stream crossing here. And so fortunately, nothing has broke yet out back, which would require extensive disturbance. As well, in addition to that, similar to Lucaya pump station, there's we've been told that there's a piping piece that is not readily available. They have to be custom made within the drywall, that if that ever broke, would have a situation like Lucaya as well. So that's what prompted us to put this in motion for a capital improvement project. It's fairly similar pump station wise, rehab to Lucaya. It's mostly internal replacement of pumps, electric, keeping the old wet well and dry well, new piping on the exterior, and relocating the force main completely to within Francis Wyman Road, up Luther. And so everything will be within current roadway.
All right, so you folks from the consultant, you want to say some things too?
Sure. Brian did a great job giving a great overview there. Let me share my screen here. Hold on a second. Let me know when that's up.
Okay, it's up.
So like Brian had mentioned, the existing force main is primarily in this easement here. There's a bunch of location in a wetland. When we started doing the design, we looked at, there's a few different options. You can replace it in kind in the same location, which obviously is not ideal in this situation. You could try and slip line it like we did for the Lucaya pump station, but this layout really isn't that conducive to that. We'd still have to be digging in the wetland quite a bit. Lucaya had a different layout and we were able to dig in the street basically. So the slip lining is not really a great option either. The kind of lucky thing is that we're able to put it in all in the road and make the hydraulics work, because we weren't sure we were going to be able to do that, and also not make the force main a lot longer. So it seems like a win-win as far as the environment goes and as far as constructability of the existing force main. So as far as the impact areas for the force main or the project itself, we have, and I can share the other screen in a second with the actual plans for the project, the design plans. But the pump station site is right here. So they would be, the existing pump station's paved. We wouldn't be increasing any impervious areas. Impervious areas. There would be some work at the site, excavation work as far as cutting in a new bypass connection, installing a new manhole, so that we can get the bypass up and running. But besides that, the work is primarily inside the existing can. As far as the force main going down Francis Wyman, as you know, there's intermittent stream right here. There's another one that's crossing near Tammy Lane. All the work would be in the road. We're proposing to jack and bore under that so that it wouldn't be disrupting the existing culvert or the stream there. Probably makes sense for me to share this site, I'm assuming that you're probably going to be most concerned with the pump station site as far as the impacts. Can you see the this plan sheet here?
Yes.
Okay. So the existing site has the steel can. It's basically you open the cover up. You can walk down into it. It's about 20 feet deep or so. That has the pumps, the motors, the controls. Basically, most of the items are down there currently. The actual can itself will stay the same. That's not going to get replaced, but everything inside the can will get replaced. Right here, this dashed line is the existing wet well. Again, that'll stay the same. We're going to have it epoxy cleaned, pumped down, and epoxy coated for longevity. Right now, the existing control panel is this box right here. That'll all get demoed and moved over to back a little bit over here. And then it'll be better if it's kind of out of the way so that the guys can get the Vector trucks into the site here. And then right now existing, there's a generator here, which is going to get removed and demoed, and the new generator is going to be placed here on the site where there is an existing shed, which will be removed. So again, existing generator will be replaced over here, control panel will be replaced. So there's not really a lot of items. Everything's going to be pretty similar to it is now as far as how much is there, just in different spots. As far as the way the project, we see it going, we see the contractor coming and cutting in. They're going to have to do an excavation here on the site kind of early on so that they can put a bypass connection in. They're going to have to also excavate here to put a sewer manhole. We're envisioning they would do those two items first. They would plug the sewer manhole. They would pump temporary, I'm sorry, let me step back a second. They would put this bypass connection in. They would put this manhole in. They would install the entire force main. And then once they installed the entire force main and connect it back to where it currently discharges now, they would come back and they would set up a temporary bypass system, electric pumps with diesel backups, hard pipe, HDPE for the piping, and they would pump around, basically around the station while they did the work on the pump station part of the site. There will be some dewatering required for these excavations. We're going to be in the water there. There's likely not going to be a lot in the road. Most of that's going to be out of the water. There'll be dewatering, on this section, but the water gets deeper as we go further along, at least as far as our geotechnical investigation is concerned. Although there will be some dewatering, obviously, at the stream crossing, which is, and I shouldn't say stream crossing. I guess culvert crossing is a better word to use here. And then I think the only other thing that I should probably mention, I'm not sure if you noticed reviewing the plans, there's also, so the pump station site is 26A Francis Wyman Road, and 36 Francis Wyman Road is a private residence. And the private residence currently has an existing sewer grinder pump that discharges to the existing force main. So that's not going to be able to stay in use after the force main is decommissioned, obviously. So the design is basically installing a new grinder pump and directing that to Francis Wyman Road. I think that's all I have as far as construction comments. Obviously, happy to take all kinds of questions if you have them.
All right, so let's first get comments from our staff. Eileen or John, do you have comments on this one yet?
So I just want to highlight some of the environmental benefits of this project. So as they just discussed, the existing sewer line is not only old, but it goes through wetlands. The proposed new sewer line will be totally within the roadway. So big improvement there. And in addition, what wasn't mentioned, they're going to be reconstructing the parking lot or the pavement area, actually, where the pump station is. And we asked them to do stormwater improvements as part of that as well.
Okay. All right.
So once again, erosion control and dewatering are probably the two big issues with this. They'll be working well into the water table here, at the site. Not so much maybe in the roadway, but at the pump station.
John, are you suggesting we should have a dewatering plan, or you should approve a dewatering plan before construction?
Well, they're showing a location. So we'll probably require it to be, go through a filter bag or something before that, before it's discharged to that location.
Alright.
And we do have that included on the plans currently. There's a detail for the dewatering bag
Okay.
in one of the detail sheets. And this could be, you know, adjusted. It's just, John, like when we were on site, there's all the Japanese knotwood that is going to need to, at least some of it come out. So I think this could probably be adjusted if needed, but it's hard to tell with all that there where we could put it.
Yeah. That's it, Larry. Thanks.
All right. Okay, so let's see if the commissioners have any comments or issues or questions. Dawn,
Nothing to add.
Gail, Gail, you still muted?
Clicked on the wrong thing. Nothing more than, much more than what John said, but I did read that they were planning on trimming the knotweed, I guess to do the work that you just mentioned, whatever. So I guess I just mentioned that, and maybe you already know this, that, you know, that can't be composted, or it has to be disposed of in trash, because if you just compost it, it will just start growing somewhere else. So.
Okay, we could put a note in the plans to require the contractor to remove and dispose of, if you'd like.
Okay. All right, anything else, Gail? Guess not, I don't hear anything. Indra,
Yeah, just one question. The existing line, that will remain there or you're going to take it out?
The existing line will remain there. The plan would be to, after they have the bypass, and basically when they are going to start working on the pump station, they're going to have to dig down there to connect the new one. So they would drain that and cap it on both ends, and it would stay in place.
Okay. Thank you.
all right, so we have Ed, anything?
Nothing to add. Andrew you caught me on that one. I have nothing to add.
All right, Kent, anything on this one?
Nothing, John, everybody else in cover.
All right, I had a couple of questions. I see here on the plan, there is a swale. That's an existing swale or a created swale?
No, Brian, do you want to take this one, or you want me to take it? Happy to take it if you want me to.
No, yeah, sure, I can take it. So as part of the repaving of the parking lot, as John mentioned, they were looking for possibly some improvement on the drainage. We don't have a full topographical survey of the area, as it wasn't really part of the survey. But based on the crude elevation points that we do have, we think that roughly maybe half the part, like the midpoint of the parking lot drains to the rear of the site. A portion of it might be crowned. So we think, so we decided, because the other issue is on the northern, well, to the left of the screen where the hay bales are shown. The riverbank is really close to that edge of pavement that's there. There's not much room to really.
Where is that
not
on
much
this
width.
plan? Could you tell me where that again is on the plan?
So the riverfront is here, and like if you see up close in this section, it's like Brian said, it's very close, and it drifts away a little down here. But this is actually, the grass here is kind of bermed up, and there's already like kind of a little gully. But this side, when we were on site with John and Eileen, it appeared that there was washout. There's no swale here now, so John and Eileen had a thought to, it would be a good idea to put some improvements over in this area, and that's kind of where this came from.
Okay, got it. All right, what is an existing generator? Is that gas or oil fired?
It's a
Diesel.
diesel.
Yep.
So will you be scanning for any leakage or contamination when you pull out the old stuff?
Yeah, I believe, Patrick, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but typically with, with any kind of removal, there's specifications for if you encounter hazardous material, hazardous waste. And so if that's encountered, they would have to comply with those specifications and.
So
remove
that,
it as
yeah,
far as
yeah, yes,
possible.
you're saying that that will be in the specification to the contractor.
As far as, I'd have to check to see if we have anything specific to, obviously there's items as far as environmental protection and, making sure there's no spills on site and those types of things. And if there are spills, what they need to do to remedy those spills. But I'm not sure if we currently have anything in as far as specifics about how to drain and pump the tank out and, get rid of that as an example.
Well, if there's a leakage, there should be a requirement for notifying the Board of Health, and certainly, if you find that there's been leakage into the ground, notify the Board of Health and the Conservation Commission.
And for whatever it's worth, the existing, just to clarify, the existing tank is under the belly. It's not in the ground. It's under the actual generator. So
Okay.
it's not an underground storage tank.
Oh, okay. All right, that helps, right?
I think they're double walled, double contained.
Right.
Even from 50 years ago?
Well,
Yeah, I don't think that generator's 50 years. They usually have to go replace them sooner than that. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think the generator's as old as the actual
So I
pump
think-
station.
So I think the specification should have notification if there is, if contamination is encountered.
Sure.
Okay, so that, I mean, that's easy. And will you be storing any, while during construction, any fuels on site?
well, they are going to have the diesel generator. I don't envision them storing, tanks of fuel, but they are going to have, the requirement is that they're going to have electric primary temporary bypass pumps, and then they're going to have diesel backup in case the power goes out, they fail. And there'll be fuel in the generators, in the pumps, but they'll just fill those as they need. They're not going to leave, big tanks of oil, of diesel there as an example.
Okay, so there's no gasoline storage?
No. Nope.
Okay. All right, because if there was, we should have a place where you're going to, and how you're going to, where you're gonna store it. Okay, and are you aware of, or have you checked whether there's any contamination along Francis Wyman Road to be concerned about?
We did, there's none that we did a review of the Mass DEP sites and there was nothing that came up. We didn't do environmental borings, but we did do geotechnical borings
Yep.
for, to determine rock and soil types. And nothing came up through that concerned us as far as environmental hazardous waste.
Okay, yeah, I don't know of any. I've lived in town a while, as some others have, but I don't know of anything along Francis Wyman either. So my question is that there is a crossing of or a nearby wetland further down Francis Wyman. Isn't there? Yes.
Yes, let me pull it up. So I'm
Near
assuming,
near Morrison Road.
yes. So I think you're talking about this crossing right here?
Yeah, that one. Is there others?
No. That's
Okay,
it.
so where the roadway is close to wetlands, if there was a spill, doesn't the pipe become a conduit for conveying hazardous material? I assume at least if it's either level or goes downhill to that point, which I think it does. I'm not sure. Should you put in check dams so that it doesn't get into the resource area if there was a spill, or something?
Do you mean if there's a spill, I guess I'm just trying to understand the question fully. Are you talking about the stone bedding of the new force main that it would track?
Yes.
through that?
Yeah, yeah, I was thinking the stone bedding in the event of a spill, not necessarily by you guys or as part of this construction. I'm just wondering if it's useful to put in a check dam so that either along, I don't know, I don't know what your practice is, along the entire route down Francis Wyman, or right near, or it would be prudent to, the same question, near the bordering vegetative wetland.
Right. Yes, I mean, it is something we could put bentonite, call it for bentonite dams at a minimum on each side of this. We could, we'd have to take a closer look as far as where the groundwater is and if we thought it was, necessary in other locations.
Yep.
Groundwater here during borings was, like you're alluding to, very, very shallow, 3 feet. So we're definitely gonna be in the water there. It gets a little deeper here. And I think as we go toward I think it's the south, we get out of the water fairly quickly. So that is something that could be considered, at least for this location. And
Yeah, well, here's what I'm just asking. I'm asking for you folks to take a look and evaluate and assess whether it would be useful in certain locations. And I brought up where that wetland crossing is, because that's one of the most sensitive areas. But I mean, along the whole route of the pipe, I would like to hear your judgment on that you've looked at it, and here's what's being proposed or not proposed and why.
so typically, if it's going to be, if a pipe is going to be in the water, or we think it's going to be in the water, force main or gravity sewer, design standard tends to be 300 feet. Every 300 feet, you put a bentonite dam. Most of this is not going to be in the water. It goes uphill pretty quickly. So we can certainly look to see where we think, would be a good idea to put the dams, but I'm guessing it's not going to be the whole site just based on where the groundwater is.
Right. I suspected that you would say that, but especially since some areas go uphill and so if you could take a look at that and tell us what you think, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
And let's see if there's anything else. I think that's all I had. Okay, I think that's all I have right now. Let me ask, is there anyone in the audience for this? This is the pump station and the force sewer main replacement along Francis Wyman Road. Is there anyone in the audience that has a comment on this? Oh, okay, there's nobody. I had one question, not necessarily related to wetlands protection, but is there any maintenance required? Well, maybe it is. Any maintenance required on the force main, like some anti-fouling agent or something that is put into the pipe every 5 years or every 10 years? Is there anything like that is done?
No, the force mains should be designed so that they have, in theory, a consistent slope upward as much as can be practical. If there's low points or high points, you may get some air in there, so you can install a air release valve, there's one on this section. But as far as chemicals inside, as long as the force main has enough velocity to resuspend solids every time it puts the pumps back on, then it's not a concern. And this is designed to have a pretty good velocity, well over minimum design standards.
Right. The purpose in asking was asking if there was a regular maintenance, is there a certain type of chemical that was going to be in use for that maintenance? That's what I was really getting at. So, okay. So I think you've answered that.
I think also, I mean, the existing force main that's in there might be, I mean, it's ductile iron. It's hard to know without cutting it, but the proposed pipe cement line, so it's additional corrosion protection. The existing one, given how old it is, it might be unlined, and that also might have contributed some of the breaks, if that was possibly what you were alluding to.
Okay, so I asked if there was anyone in the audience. If there's no further comment from the commission, I assume that you wish to continue until September 23rd? Is that correct?
Yes, I would say that's correct. We don't have a DEP number assigned to this yet, so I don't think we could I think that the next meeting would be most appropriate to close this.
All right. All right, John and Eileen, do you see any reason why it could not close an issue on the 23rd if we have a DEP number?
No, we should be able to have a draft ready for that meeting.
All right, do we need a motion to continue therefore?
You do?
All right, could I have a motion to continue the sewer pump and force main project on Francis Wyman Road to the next meeting of September 23rd?
So moved, Indra.
Second?
Second, Ed.
All right, Don, how do you vote?
Yes,
Gail?
Yes,
Indra?
Yes,
Ed?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so this hearing is continued to September 23rd. Oh, I have one more comment before you folks go. I thought that you guys did a nice job. Was it Weston and Sampson is who you guys are? That's right. Yeah, you guys did a nice job in these plans. They were very clear. Sometimes the stuff is squashed in so small you really can't read it. I was quite impressed with the legibility of it. It was a nice piece of work.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Okay, so we'll see you on the 23rd.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank
John
you.
and Lee.
Take care. Have a good
Right.
evening.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, so next is item number 7. Notice is hereby given, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public hearing during which time we will be taking information related to a notice of intent filed by Daniel E. Murray for Sunshine Realty Trust for the demolition of a single-family house and the construction of a new single-family house located at 15 Dolores Drive. The proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. This hearing is pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, which is the Wetlands Protection Act, and Burlington's bylaw, Article 14. The commission will review all information relative to this application and may issue an order of conditions and a Burlington Wetlands permit for the proposed project. The application is available on the commission's website. There is a link that you can go to review all the project materials. All right, so do we have someone representing this project here today?
Yes, good evening. This is David Romero from Commonwealth Engineering.
Yes,
I believe there's also somebody here from Oxbow Associates, the wetland consultants.
Yeah, Kyle Cormier, environmental scientist with Oxbow Associates here as well.
all right, nice to see you both.
So we're proposing to, as you mentioned, to demolish an existing house and build a brand new house on this lot 43, known as 15 Dolores Drive. The wetlands was delineated by Oxbow and it's on the plan, and I know that the commission, I think, has seen it. I know they plan to do another site walk next week sometime to look at the line. Nevertheless, I'll go over what we're proposing to do. You see on the screen there, that's the proposed house, and we are proposing to mitigate for the roof and the increased runoff on the site. So for the roof runoff, we've done some test pits on site, and although the groundwater is relatively high, we did find that there's a great sands, fine and coarse sands on the site, so very conducive for infiltration as long as we can stay above the groundwater, and we have accomplished that. So all the roof runoff will be going to an on-site infiltration chambers, which are shown there on the left side of the lot on this plan. And we also proposing a stone trench in the back of the garage and along the driveway to assist in picking up any excess runoff. And the drainage calculations do show that we're able to mitigate for all the increased runoff, so very little is actually going to be coming off the site What I did say, we were proposing to remove the existing house. There's also two structures that are within the no structure, no disturb zone. There's a shed and another like a wood deck. So we're going to remove those first. And so that area will then remain untouched up to the 20-foot no disturb area. And the new house will be completely outside of the 40-foot no structure. You can see the deck there is about 44 feet off of the wetland. And as I mentioned before, the driveway will be going to a trench on the side of the driveway. We'll slope that to manage the stormwater. We're looking for very little earthwork on site because, again, groundwater is kind of shallow. So even the basement itself is actually going to be only, we're probably looking to excavate maybe 2 feet into the ground for this. And if we do have groundwater, which I don't think we'll hit in excavation for the footing, but if we do, of course, we will take the proper measures to dewater. And I know you normally have a condition that you want to see a plan ahead of time, and we can do that. I think that's it. I think, again, minimum excavation, minimum earthwork, and removal of a house, and pulling all the structures out of the away from the 20-foot no disturb. I think it's about it.
Thank you. Mr. Cormier, do you have any comments on the resource area nearby?
I'd just like to reiterate that this is it is an improvement over existing conditions since the existing house does not have any stormwater management. We're also pulling out the wood deck and shed within the no disturbance zone, and overall it's just an improvement over the existing conditions, improving the buffer zone to the resource area.
And did you flag the wetland?
So Brian Butler in my office flagged the wetland, and I believe he's going to be out at the site on Tuesday to answer any questions in regards to the wetland line.
All right. Very good. John or Eileen, do you have any comments or issues to make us aware of?
It's going to be me. No, as they described it, there's definitely quite a lot of wetlands across the southern end of the site, and we're going to meet. John and I are going to meet with Brian and Kyle. We think on site on Tuesday, just to go over that wetland line and maybe take a look at the soils in and around the line. The existing house and the proposed house, I think, are all entirely within the buffer zone. But although it's not shown here, I'm not sure if you guys can see my cursor, but I think the older deck actually extends out to here. So they're removing that deck that's within the 40-foot and the wood deck and shed. So I think it is actually an improvement in some regards. And they're certainly improving conditions by infiltrating the rooftop stormwater. Apart from the just question about the deck, just to make sure I'm understanding that correctly, my only other question is, what is happening with the trees? The NOI mentioned that 2 trees somewhere in the front are definitely going to be saved, but there were quite a few trees back here that I really wasn't sure about, and some very large shrubs in the area of the wood deck. Can either Kyle or David?
I think we plan to remove any trees up to that 20-foot no disturb, and whatever it takes to get the shed down and the deck down. Other than that, we shouldn't be in that 20-foot buffer at all, other than, again, to get those structures out of there. I don't know if that answers your question about the trees.
All vegetation pretty much back to the 20-foot is your proposal.
Yeah, that will all stay. Again, just to remove those 2 structures, that's the only thing that will be disturbed.
Okay. Those are my questions, Larry.
All right, thanks, Eileen. Don, any questions?
Yeah, I do have a question about the elevation. I'm looking at your plan. What do you have for elevations for the proposed house as opposed to the elevation to the wetlands?
So the basement is proposed to be at 141. If you see that it says BFE, that's basement floor elevation. The wetlands is down at about 139 or so. Depends, I guess, where you look. It does vary across the site.
Okay,
But we did find the groundwater too. We established the groundwater at the highest location was about 137.4. That's the groundwater elevation. So we don't see the basement should be above the groundwater elevation. Even the footings probably will be just above it. So I think we'll be okay with the groundwater.
yeah, the one red flag I see is in terms of when you do your demolition on the existing structure. I'd like to hear a little more detail about how you're going to protect the water from flowing downhill into the wetlands or runoff or whatever other debris is generated.
Well, we are proposing a line of erosion control. I think our plan shows it as a water line right now. Again, that's up to, I think it's fairly flat, so I think a 12-inch water line will suffice. So that should keep any silt from entering the wetlands. And again, we'll keep that maintained and we'll keep an eye on that, inspected as well. So that's what we're using for a barrier.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Don. How about Gail?
I think adding taking care of the rooftop runoff, that will be a benefit. So you're not removing any shrubs or trees when you take out the deck and the shed, that's correct? That's what you confirmed with Eileen, right?
Well, what it says that we're going to minimize that. We're going to be just enough to get the deck and shed out of there. But otherwise, in the area part of the 20-foot notice strip, we won't touch that.
Okay. Other than that, no, I don't really have any other questions. It seems, pretty clear what you said. I guess the only comment is, we notice a number of really nice plantings around the house, that mature plantings that, it'd be great if those could be incorporated into the landscape, or, maybe you want to take them home and plant them. They're really nice plantings.
Okay,
Be
I'm
a
not,
shame to
thank
just,
you. Note that.
bulldoze them and destroy them.
Okay, thank you, Gail. Indra?
Yeah, it's just to make it clear. So you are not taking out any trees, right?
Well, we are going to be taking trees that in the buffer, but it will be beyond that 20-foot no disturb.
Oh. And are you changing the grade?
Not very much. We are filling a little bit in the backyard to flatten it out, but again, the grade, it's a pretty flat lot and it's going to stay fairly level.
So are you bringing any fill?
Maybe a little bit of topsoil, but probably not very much fill, no.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Indra. Ed,
Nothing to add to it.
Kent, anything more?
So now that everybody didn't point out.
Okay, I would just have a couple of comments. I think the order of conditions should say that if they are bringing in more than 6 inches of, adding 6 inches of fill for the purpose of planting or something like that, they should contact the conservation office and decide whether an amendment is needed based on how much fill is being brought in. I understand you'd bring in topsoil, but I'm saying when it goes substantially beyond topsoil, since your answer was not very much, maybe, I don't know what the other commissioners think, maybe 6 inches is reasonable to have it brought back to the to the administration, to our administrator. Second of all, it looks like that I like the fact that the new deck is outside the 40-foot no build. I like the fact that the wood deck is being removed, the shed is being removed. If it looks like though that the new deck is going to be about, I'm guessing, 5 feet from the 40-foot no build. So if, based on the wetland line discussion, if that moves, it could put the 40-foot no structure line going at the minimum, maybe across the deck. I don't know if it will, in which case you would have to submit a request for a waiver in that case, which would be considered.
Yeah, we don't plan to extend the deck any more than you see. I think we have it at 44 feet. We don't plan to get any closer than that.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm actually saying is if the wetland line happened to change, I'm not saying it will.
Oh, yes,
Okay,
right.
it changed
Okay.
sufficiently, and
Yep.
it goes sufficiently, and now the, the corner of the deck goes in the 40-foot no build, your application should add a request for a waiver, is all I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Uh, and that's all I have at this point.
Oh, I did want to add one thing, I'm sorry, that we are gonna put a post and rail fence along that 20-foot line. I know the commission likes to see that normally.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for mentioning that.
So Larry, to that point, depending upon what happens with the delineation, whether it changes or not, I'd suggest maybe straightening out that post and rail fence somewhat.
Yeah, could say that. Yeah, probably maybe, sort of even it out across the middle or something, across that line.
Right.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay.
All right, is there anyone in the audience who has a question or concern or would like to express an opinion? So this is for the project at 15 Dolores Drive. I guess the answer is no. There is no record should show there is no one in the audience for this project at this time. All right, so I did not come up with any list other than the meeting on the discussion of the wetlands happening on the site. Did anyone else, John, Eileen, or any of the commissioners have anything else they wanted to see? I didn't hear it. I missed it.
Well, Larry, when we're on site, I think John and I will probably get a clearer idea of what other trees will be coming down. And if there are significant trees to be coming down, we'll probably suggest they put that on the plan.
Okay, got it. Okay, so the two things that I have therefore are wetlands review, wetlands line review, and a clearer idea of trees. Anything else? All right, so Mr. Romero, are you thinking of the next meeting, September 23rd?
Yes, that'd be great, thank you.
All right, could I have a motion from the commission to continue the hearing for 15 Dolores Drive to September, our next meeting of September 23rd, 2021?
Moved it.
Second, Don,
All right, Dawn, how do you vote?
yes.
Gail,
Yes,
Indra,
Yes,
Ed,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So by a vote of 500, the hearing for 15 Dolores Drive is continued to September 23rd, 2021. Okay, folks, thank you all for your time. You folks have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay. All right, next on the agenda is item number 8. This is a continued public hearing, notice of intent, 24 Hard Street, Asset Redevelopment Corporation. It's to demolish an existing dwelling and construct a new house. DEP file number 122-660. All right, someone's here for that, I gather.
Yes, Greg Saab from ESS.
How are you,
Since,
how are you tonight?
good, how you doing?
Very good, thank you. All right, so would you like to say anything at this point?
Sure, just since the last meeting, we have walked the site again, and we decided to add a little bit of grade into the backyard, just to make the slope from the walkout basement a little less. So there's grading lines shown on the plan. And we added trees that were gonna be cut, and we added trees to replace them. That was the big change since the last meeting.
All right, thank you for those comments. Eileen or John, is there anything more to add in the way of comments or anything missing from the application at this point?
No, I don't think so. As Greg said, he altered the plan to show each of the trees that are being removed and each of their proposed replacements and the altered grading. I don't have any other issues or comments, and we have drafted an order and a bylaw decision.
All right, thank you, Eileen. From the commission, is there anything else that needs to be considered? Any further comment from the commission, including our associate commissioner? Is there anything more on this project? Guess not. All right, is there anyone in the audience? This is for a project to erect a new house at 24 Hart Street. Is there anyone in the audience for this project? Eileen, the floor is yours to review the decision.
Okay, let me share again. I'll start with the bylaw. So in the description, if you can read it, is that a bylaw application was filed for the demolition of an existing single-family residence, deck, fence, patio, and driveway, and removal of 11 trees, and construction of a new single-family dwelling, deck, porch, and driveway, and associated grading and utilities, and planting of 9 trees within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. The next section is the filing history. The plan is, and reference is the site plan 24 Hart Street in Burlington, signed and stamped by Clayton A. Moran and last revised 8/26. Proposed work was within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. The closest point of the proposed new dwelling, the rear deck, was approximately 80 feet from the BBW, and the existing house was approximately 98 feet from the BBW. The Commission finds this project is exempt from the Massachusetts stormwater management regulations. However, in accordance with the regulations, the applicant proposed to infiltrate the new rooftop area into an underground recharge system, and the driveway will be pitched to a stone infiltration trench, and erosion and sedimentation controls will be implemented during construction. The proposed impervious area is just over 4,000 square feet, and the existing impervious area is just under 2,000 feet, and this will also serve as a permit under the erosion and sediment control bylaw. All of the rest under here is just standard. It's in every bylaw decision, and we are proposing a $3,500 cash performance guarantee. Let me stop sharing and go to the order of conditions. Okay. Sorry about that. I stopped my video and said it didn't share. Again, the same plan reference 24, site plan 24 Hart Street in Burlington. First, several conditions are as standard. Sort of permits work within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands, and no work within any wetland resource has been permitted by this decision. Under pre-construction conditions, this describes how the applicant will give us notice, will outline the proposed limit of work with stakes or markers or flags, and will contact the conservation staff to review the order of conditions and erosion controls on site. And we will also investigate that a DEP sign is posted, and there's additional and extra erosion controls. The erosion controls shall be installed along the erosion control line as shown in the reference plan. And these will be hay bales and sediment filter fabric. Materials should not be stockpiled on site within 40 feet of the wetlands. No dewatering permitted on this site unless the Commission has received and approved or approved with modifications a dewatering plan. At the end of the workday, the applicant shall sweep the roadway. Catch basins within 100 feet of work shall be protected with silt sacks, and the Commission reserves the right to require additional erosion controls. No additional grading beyond what is shown on the approved plan shall be permitted without a written request. The next ones are standard ones about pollution control that Greg Saab is very familiar with, about keeping debris and equipment out of the wetlands and well away from the wetlands. For stormwater management, the rooftop runoff shall be infiltrated on site as shown in the approved plan. An infiltration trench shall be installed along the driveway as shown on the plan. And this trench or another approved infiltration method, if it switches, shall be maintained and not removed. And this will be noted on the certificate of compliance in perpetuity. A post and rail fence shall be installed approximately 20 feet from the BBW line across the rear of the lot. That new fence shall not have gates, and this will remain in perpetuity and be on the certificate of compliance. 9 native trees shall be planted on site, 5 of which will be in the area behind the demarcation fence. And these should be monitored for 2 full growing seasons, and those that fail to thrive will be replaced. Debris in the wetland should be removed by hand or machinery only, or by machinery only from the lawn and not in the wetland. And this last section is about the various requirements for a certificate of occupancy and a certificate of compliance, and notes 5 perpetual conditions.
All right, thanks, Eileen. Does anyone on the commission have further comment?
Nope.
Okay. I have, Eileen, would you suggest that the post and rail fence should be more squared off, so it makes more of a square yard as opposed to following the exact line?
Do you want me to show the plan again? Because I hadn't closed it yet. I
Well,
can.
if you need to answer.
Well, no, it's just in this case, there's quite a curve back here. I mean, I think he
Well,
could
that's my point, Eileen, actually.
Oh.
That's the point I'm making.
could certainly straighten it out a little bit, but I don't want him going back too close to the wetlands. And if he brings it straight across, he'll be cutting off this.
Right, so I thought maybe going in on the left side 5 feet and then goes a little bit straighter across.
Oh, sorry.
It's up to him, but
It's okay with Mr. Saab.
Yeah, I know on this particular site, the contractor was trying to get as much backyard as possible. So I think he was happy with the line like that with the, because there is quite a, the way the wetland goes, it does go back to the back right corner of the property. So
yeah, I mean, if you and the contractor are happy just following the line, that's certainly fine with the post and rail fence.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be a straight edge. I mean, you can use it visual interest.
I was only throwing it out there as a question. That's fine.
Okay.
It's not something that needs to be done. Okay, so if there's no further comment on the order of conditions, could I have a motion, therefore, to close the hearing for 24 Hart Street?
So move, Gail.
Second, Indra.
All right, Don, how do you vote on closing the hearing?
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Indra,
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes by a vote of 500. The hearing is closed for 24 Hart Street. Could I have a motion to approve the findings as discussed for 24 Hart Street under Burlington Bylaw Article 14?
So moved, Ed.
Second,
Second, Don.
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Indra,
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Okay, yes for the chair. Vote of 500. The findings are approved for 24 Hart Street. Could I have a motion to approve the order of conditions as discussed under both Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act for the project at 24 Hart Street?
So move, Gail.
Second, Don.
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Indra,
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. The order of conditions is approved by a vote of 500 for the project at 24 Hart Street. Could I have a motion to require the posting of $3,500 surety under Burlington Bylaw Article 14?
So moved, Indra.
Second,
Second,
Ed.
Don.
any discussion from anyone? Right, John, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Indra,
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so by a vote of 500, the request to post $3,500 surety under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for the project at 24 Hart Street is approved. Mr. Saab, good luck with your project.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening, sir.
You too.
All right, take care. Okay, so next we're down to administrative things. Planning board, do we have anything for the planning board, John or Eileen?
We do not.
Okay, subcommittee and staff reports and updates, anything under that category?
Nothing from me.
From anyone on the commission? I'll mention one more time, the next meeting is September 23rd, and the next meeting after that is October 14th. Other business, do we have anything else under other business or any subject the commissioners or staff would like to bring up?
So just related to the upcoming meetings, I did send out a doodle poll and I've heard from most everybody. I need Gail and Jennifer to finish, to send in their responses, but we're trying to schedule a November meeting.
Yeah, it looked like the 15th of November was the
So
prevailing
far,
date.
so far that looks good.
Okay, is there any progress on 102 Wynn Street? John?
Eileen can take that one.
102 Wynn Street. Yes, apparently they are working on I think there was just a bit of a financial holdup, and they're working on getting the NOI done. There has been some subsidence in the area so that the stream is now crossing the road. So I've asked them, and Steve Dresser said he will add some fill to that and will stabilize the temporary fence. That's where they stand right now.
Okay, but they were gonna come up with a remediation plan, and have we seen that yet? Something for all the disturbance?
They're filing a notice of intent.
Okay, all right, so we'll more to come, in other words.
Right.
All right, is there anything else from anyone? All right, I entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission.
So moved, Ed.
Second?
Second, Gail.
All right, let's see if we get a positive vote. Dawn on adjournment?
Yes.
Gail on adjournment?
Yes.
Indra, what say you?
Yes.
Ed, how about you?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make it unanimous. The chair votes yes by a vote of 5-0-0. This meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission is now adjourned. Everyone have a very good night.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Yes.
night.
Good night,
Everybody.
everybody.
Good night.